Hey guys, we've been getting some questions about what is a drop point hunter and why do you need a drop point? What's the function of a drop point hunter? I think this just comes from a lot of the interactions that we've been having online as people are learning more and more about the custom knife field and how to use a blade, how to choose a blade for the hunting activities. We've just seen a big boom in hunters over the last 10 years, but especially in the last couple of years, I think with guys like Rogan and Cam Hanes and different people talking about hunting a lot, we have new hunters asking about what knife they should carry. So we're here today to talk about the drop point hunter. So what is a drop point? Well, this is our super cub knife that we sell, and this to me is a very kind of classy traditional drop point hunter. And what it means is the tip actually drops out here towards the end of the blade, and this one's a little more slight. Sometimes you'll get really aggressive drops, but it drops from the top line of this knife. If you draw a line out across the top of here, right out here in this last third of the blade, that tip starts to drop. And what that does is it puts that tip in a really powerful and useful position. So when you're going to use your blade, the point of that blade is down closer to the center line of the knife, which allows you to really get in and be accurate with where you want to use the tip of that blade, especially in like a caping situation where you're really needing a tip and you're needing to do fine work. The other thing a typical drop point has is kind of a nice belly. Now this is a blade you're going to see, I mean, it's completely beat up. I was actually hammering on the spine of this thing, so it's got hammer marks all over the back of this blade. So forgive me, this blade has been through the ringer. It's my personal drop point. So you've got a lot of belly here in the blade, but we still have enough tip to be able to do some work in the field, as I alluded to with the caping. But this belly is going to be where you're going to do your heaviest amount of work. It's where you're going to do your skinning, where you generally tend to use a blade when you're maybe setting something down on a stump and you're cutting. This belly is going to see a serious amount of the actual use. Generally, from there back, you know, it's fairly straight back to the plunge grind or the ricasso area of the blade or the choil. But again, back up to this drop point part, the other thing that this provides is quite a bit of strength. When you have kind of a trailing point going away, the blade can get thin, and a trailing point would be a tip that comes up and maybe actually comes back to the right instead of the left in this situation. With a drop point, they can be very, very strong. This Super Cub has a fairly thick tip on it, which just allows a lot of power. That allows you to do some prying. It allows you to also kind of cap this knife with your thumb and your hand and do a lot of powerful work with the tip. So that's kind of the idea of the drop point. You know, when you're getting down through, maybe breaking down an animal through the hip joint area, you know, the knee area of an animal, trying to cut those legs off, you're going to get that tip down in there and you're going to be kind of working down through there, finding those tendons. So again, you want that powerful point on a blade. So the drop point became, you know, really quite famous with like the Loveless era. Bob Loveless was a custom knife maker. You kind of had that traditional Loveless drop point. There were other guys, Bill Moran and Ed Fowler and Rick Dunkerley. A lot of guys have done a drop point knife. It's really one of the most popular blades that's ever been made, frankly. It's the most handy, most common hunting knife style that there is. So that's the drop point. This is kind of my go-to drop point hunter when we need it. This blade's a little bigger than you necessarily need in a lot of situations. I like also a blade that's a little bit shorter, more in that 4-inch range. But again, if I'm going out in the field, I really love that drop point style. Our Blackfoot has a slight drop to it as well. So we'll be actually coming out later in the fall with a shorter, more aggressive drop point style as well, if you guys are interested in keeping your eye out for that. So anyway, that's the drop point hunter. That's what you use it for. If you got any questions, comment on our YouTube or DM us or send us an email and we'll try to answer them further. Thank you.